Hi, I'm Jerry Perez from FANUC America, and you're joining us for another virtual demo, this time for a Cobot device partner. And here today with me is Christian Holgaard. He's General Manager of the Americas for OnRobot. And today, Christian, we're talking about and doing a virtual demo of OnRobot's deploy for Cobot palletizing, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm excited.
Perfect. Awesome. Me too, man. Well, I'm going to hand it off to you and let's get started.
All right, let's get it. Before we go into the hands-on demonstration, I just want to quickly introduce OnRobot and the deploy software. OnRobot has been a device partner to FANUC for some years now, ever since the launch of the CRX. We offer a wide range of hardware solutions for the FANUC robot line. CRXs, LRs, CRs. We mainly focus on electric tools and peripherals. So servo grippers, lifts, sensors, vision systems, tool changers, etc. But we also have this amazing software product called Deploy that we're going to dig into today. Deploy supports 4 different application types. Deploy CNC machine tending, palletizing, packaging, and transferring. Today, we're gonna take a look at the palletizing part of it. So what does Deploy do and what is Deploy? Deploy is addressing certain barriers for the typical manufacturer that is looking into collaborative automation. Most of the manufacturers that we have spoken to over the last decade have these barriers listed here as their main reason or main struggle when they're thinking about automation. Investment that are driven by complexity and long deployment time. Inflexibility when they do a high mix, low volume production. This is typically CNC machine tending applications. Excuse me. And there's of course some risks involved in introducing and maintaining new technology on the manufacturing floor. If you don't have the right people or skills, you need certain expertise to run and maintain robotics. This is kind of linked to the next point too, is do we have these things in-house, or are we relying on external engineers that are costly and time-consuming? And then when you're new to automation, you might have a lot of uncertainty in terms of project lead time. How do we install it? Who do we talk to? More and more manufacturers are looking to get more empowered by taking ownership and able to control their own automation journey. And these are the barriers that Deploy are addressing.
Great.
Deploy is basically a front end of the whole application. Every part of the application, all the hardware is connected to Deploy, and Deploy will then automatically program the robot and any peripheral equipment on and around the robot. So what does that mean? It means that we can heavily reduce the integration time because you don't need to program the actual robot. These numbers you see on the screen are real numbers taken from case studies and deployments that we have in the field. So it's not just some marketing blabber. These are actual real numbers. The first deployment here is a big time saving, but when we look at redeployment, and when we talk about redeployment, we mean making new patterns on the pallet, introducing new box sizes, or CNC tending could be, I'm running a new part in my CNC machine, and these are incredible time savings we see here.
Gotcha. So that's something if you go back to that slide really quick.
Yeah, sure.
I see there's first deployment by the integrator time savings, redeployment by the manufacturer time savings. I see 2 different maybe users here, right? So there's on the left side, I'm the integrator deploying it for the first time. So I might be an integrator who's used to doing the conventional deployment, doing the 40 plus hours or whatnot, right, for palletizing in particular here. But using your solution now as an integrator, it just saves me 4 hours. So I'm saving myself and my time as an integrator and then manufacturers on the right side of the graph, now it's in operation, right? And the manufacturer now wants to redo something or teach something new, or did I get that right?
Yes. So redeployment is anytime you have to introduce something new to the application. It could be a new pattern or a box size for palletizing, or CNC. If you're running a high mix, low volume production, then you need to introduce new parts to the robot all the time, right? New dimensions, new
Sure.
in-feed and out-feeds, all these things. But you're
Gotcha.
raising a really
Yeah.
good point here, because deploy is a tool for both the integrator and the manufacturer. Some manufacturers have technical knowledge enough to just be able to get deploy up and running themselves, but many partner with a integrator, and the integrators are usually very busy with big, huge projects. This technology allows the integrator to not spend time on smaller integrations, smaller applications, and still giving them the opportunity to service their customers and actually taking in more projects without investing in more engineers.
Gotcha. Really, so it's a product, it's solution. It makes it easier for an integrator and an end user who's capable of even self-integrating.
Absolutely. And once the
Awesome.
integrator has installed once the application is installed at the end user level, the manufacturer is able to do all these changes, run it, maintain it, monitor it themselves. So it's also a low maintenance for the integrator.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thanks.
So this is basically just summing up real fast what it does. Well, it's breaking down these barriers that we mentioned before. It saves up to 90% time on deployment and redeployment, which is extremely significant in terms of both the price of the project, but also, again, the resources needed to install. And it gives the manufacturers to take control and get empowered to own their own automation project, basically.
Awesome.
So how does it work? This is still the presentation. We're gonna go into a hands-on demo in a minute, but I just wanna throw a few slides to show how it works. We have a piece of hardware. We have a controller called the OR base. This is the device that runs the deploy software. There is connectivity for IOs, for Ethernet IP as well, and some serial connectors for some hardware like grippers or sensors. For the OR base, there are two module options, we call them. The OR machine is mainly intended for CNC machine tending if you need additional IOs for your CNC machine connectivity. And the OR COM module allows you to use a Wi-Fi or a 5G connection to the internet. Deploy runs in the cloud, and once you install it or make changes, redeploy or deploy, you have to be online. And if you don't have a wired connection on your manufacturing floor, we highly suggest that you invest in this OR COM module.
Gotcha. So just to summarize that, the base, this is what you get with the entire cell, the OR machine. If I have to integrate to that machine, I'm going to add that module. And then if I need to get external comms, communication, wireless connections, now I got the OR COM, right?
Correct.
All right, perfect. Great.
Deploy runs in a browser interface as a standard option. We have the availability to link deploy to any type of HMI or a user interface that the manufacturer or the integrator wishes to use. It could be a push button, it could be a different layout on an HMI, but standard OnRobot option is to have a browser. So you can run it on your laptop, tablet, cell phone, or if you have a HMI with a browser option, you can also run it that way. The way deploy is being used is that we have basically 5 steps. We have the cell setup, where you go through all the hardware connectivity onto the OR base. We have the workspace, which allows us to draw any obstacles in the vicinity of the robot. We have the actual application setup where we tell deploy what type of application we're doing, patterns, pick positions, box sizes, etc. And then we have the operation screen and monitoring for the operator. This is what he will see when he gets in the morning and starts the machine. And we got redeployment if they need to make changes. The reason why I'm skipping through this a little bit is that we're going to go through it now on my hands-on demo. But just to show you the flow here, these are the 5 steps we take usually. That's it for the presentation. So I want to just jump into the hands-on virtual demonstration here. Jerry, you got any questions or comments?
All right. Nope, let's get to it.
All right. So as you can see here, I'm in my lab here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I have the palletizer set up. In this setup, we have the FANUC CRX 10L with our telescopic lift, our pallet sensor down here. We have a little conveyor with a sensor as well connected here to sense the presence of the box. And we have our OR-based controller with the COM module next to it. The gripper is also an OnRobot product called the VGP20. It's a vacuum gripper that generates vacuum inside of the gripper. So in this whole cell here, you see we're running on 110 volt. There's no compressor. It's all just running out of a standard electric outlet. So looking on this side of the screen, you see deploy. I've logged into my OR base, and you can see all the hardware that is connected to the controller. You have the robot up here. The robot integration is very easy and seamless. You set up the IP configuration on the robot controller. You give the IP of the robot to deploy. You will press Discover Robot and connect. And once you have a green light like we have here, you actually have full control over the robot. So when I jog it here, you can see I'm jogging the robot. There's a few really cool little features where you can move it in increments, for example. In this case, it's 200 millimeter, I move it. These are really neat tools to teach the positions that deploy asks you to do with the precision that we need for automation. We also have access to the gripper. I can turn the gripper on and off in this little jog screen. You have control over the motion, basically, the motion part. We also have our lifts. As you can see, I can move the robot up and down if needed. I have access to the gripper as an isolated unit. And down here, we have our in-feed sensor. The in-feed sensor will not automatically be detected. All the other pieces of hardware, since it is an OnRobot piece of hardware, it will automatically be detected. But the in-feed sensor, we will have to tell the OR base what input I have connected this sensor to. In this case, it is input 8 in the OR base. And very importantly, I want to show you the I/O setup on the controller here. You can lift the cap off, and this is where you have all the I/Os available to you. So on the palletizer, I have connected that sensor on the conveyor. I've connected that to input 8. All right, now we have all the hardware connected, and we can move into what we call workspace. Workspace is a 3D environment that shows the workspace of the robot. You can see the dome here is the reach of the robot. If you have any obstacles in the vicinity and in the workspace of the robot, you will have to tell deploy that these obstacles are there. And we've made it very easy. You can add these obstacles. You can either drag and drop them in the workspace of the robot, or you can give them a position, a size, or a rotation based on these parameters. So I can reshape it if I want to, just like that. Or you can drag these axes here and make the obstacle the size and shape you want. In this case, I'm in the office. I don't really have any obstacles, so I don't have a need for drawing it in the workspace. But usually, the manufacturers will have to draw the surroundings. This is also where you go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you could have put, for example, that wall, right? You could have made that as an obstacle behind it, and then if it this simulation, the screen here, if it crashes into it, does it change color? Does it avoid it?
No, it will actually not move in the workspace, but yeah, I could draw the wall. I absolutely could. The reason why I'm not is simply because we only have one pallet here, and it will not move in any way or to the wall side. But yeah, it's a very valid point. You could absolutely draw it. The deploy will automatically detect it will when it's simulating in the background. If it will hit the obstacle, it will give you an error and a troubleshooting guide to see, hey, we collided with this obstacle. When I'm doing that, please do this to mitigate.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So you're simulating those motions before they happen to avoid those obstacles. Hey, yes. Okay, great.
This is also where we define where our pallet position is. In this case, I have just dragged and dropped the pallet station to the position relative to reality here. I just measured it out. And that's it. From here, we can now move into applications. I've cheated a little bit, so I've already preset the parameters for this demo because I didn't want to spend time on jogging the robot too much and make the demonstration here too long. But you're welcome to ask any questions, or we can make some changes if you like to. Yeah. When we go into the application deployment, it's always the same experience you have whether you're doing palletizing, CNC tending, packaging, or transferring. It is a guided flow that starts from the top and works itself downwards. All the white parts you see here, there are 4 white stripes. They are mandatory steps you have to make. But in certain applications, CNC tending as an example, you will also have optional steps if you want to tweak or change your application with extra steps. But for palletizing, it's fairly simple, so we only have these 4 steps to take. The first step is the gripper setup. There's not really anything I can do here because we're using a standard OnRobot VGP20. If I had made modifications or if I'm using a third-party gripper, I will need to select that gripper and those modifications here, so Deploy knows what the size and shape are of this new tool, and so we don't collide with anything. Then we're going to the pick from infeed step, and here, this is where we tell Deploy how are we picking our boxes off the conveyor. Are we picking a single box? Are we picking multiple boxes? What are the orientation of these boxes? We also need to teach the pick position. So this first box here, I'll need to teach that position to Deploy. The way we teach is simply by going into our jog screen, jogging the robot down to this position and clicking done. I have taught this position. I'm gonna just auto move it to the taught position. Oh, sorry. Moving the lift down. So this is the position that I taught. That is clearly in the middle of the first box, right?
And you didn't have to do any of this with you didn't have to touch the teach pendant on the cobot, right? You did all this through your interface.
Everything happens through Deploy. Yes, correct.
Great.
Then we have to give the parameters of the box. I mean, that's pretty easy, right? You just take a measuring tape and measure it out. The same with the weight. You can tell Deploy, okay, we're not picking from the center. If we're not picking from the center of the box, where do we actually pick from? In this case, I am picking from the center. You will also need to tell Deploy what is the next box, what direction is it coming from, so our movement when pulling the box out of the conveyor is the correct one. We can also set label orientation. So if you have needs for having labels out or in a certain orientation on the pallet, we know where that label is located on the box. From here, we can press done and go into the pallet attributes. This is just the measurement of the pallet. Deploy already knows where the pallet is located because we drew it in the workspace. So now we just have to tell Deploy what is the size of the pallet. We have a custom pallet here. It's a little small because we're in the lab, but you can select a standard size US pallet from the list here if you like to. And then last but not least, we got the pattern. We can ask Deploy to generate a pattern, or we can do custom patterns. A custom pattern will allow you to drag and drop boxes onto the pallet. Pretty simple. If you had a label orientation, the label position will also be marked, so you make sure the label is in the orientation you want. You can add layers to the layout. So in this case, I just placed one on top here. And to make sure that everything runs as expected, we have to validate that pattern. And when you press validate, Deploy works its magic. It writes about 700 lines of code, moving the robot, monitoring variables, operating the gripper, everything that a programmer or a robot integrator normally would spend weeks doing, we've now done in a few seconds. When you press done, you finish the application and you're ready to run it. We can test the application here, or we can just save it. But of course, we want to see the robot move, so let's test it out. When we start it up, this is our operation screen. We need to make sure that everything is released and we're ready to go. Do we want to start it from the beginning, or do we want to start it somewhere from a fixed point? Let's say that an operator walks into the pallet while it's stacking boxes, then maybe we don't want to start from the beginning. And again, we just want to start from where it left off. But in this case, we start from the beginning. The robot is not at its home position, so we will have to move it with our auto move to the home position. And last step is just the overview of your selection, and now you can run the application. Here, it'll give you a quick summary of where we are on the application. We're running the robot a little bit slower since we're in the office, but we can run the robots as fast as the robot allows us to. But you see all these movements, all the sensor signal inputs, all these things are automatically monitored and programmed by Deploy. I didn't have to do any of that work, basically.
Just for this demonstration purpose, what is the speed you're running at currently? What's the speed?
It's about half the speed of what the CRX are capable of. So there are ways we can limit the speed on the robot. In this case, we're running at about 50%.
Got it.
Since we don't have any safety sensors or cage around the robot, we're running it a little bit slower in the office. Deploy also takes advantage of knowing what the what is it called, the robot design and the what is it called when there are certain areas the robot cannot move in because of the design of the robot and the 6-axis. Singularity is called, and Deploy will actually avoid singularities of the robot and break it up into smaller joint moves, so you don't have to worry about the robot moving into a singularity and stopping the application. So in this case, you can see it's waiting for a part in the infeed, so of course all that logic is incorporated, and when I feed it the next box, will then continue the application. The moves are also optimized to always be diagonally when it's placing the box, because the boxes can vary in sizes due to humidity, and cardboard is not like super consistent. So all these things we've taken into consideration to make it just as seamless and easy to use as possible. Now we have the application done. We tested it, it works fine. And our application library, in this case, only has one box and pattern, which is what I just showed you. Now, talking about redeployment, let's say that we want to change the dimensions of the box. We're running another SKU today or a new pattern. We made it easy that we can just duplicate an already existing application. And now we can just focus on the parts we want to change, the box parameters and sizes, the pallet size, and the pattern. So if I would change the box size here, let's make it 600 instead. Now we'll have to you can see the pattern that I was duplicating from is not valid anymore, so I will need to, I'll just remove these layers. So now the boxes will of course look differently and stack differently. But here, validation takes seconds or a few minutes if it's a very complicated pattern. And here we go. That was my redeployment. Deploy will automatically adjust the pick position of the infeed based on the first pattern you make. So you don't have to teach a new pick position of the conveyor. And that's it. Now you have 2 SKUs already ready to be palletized and running. And this, as you can see, significantly reduces both the deployment time and the lead time for getting up and running with automation. Sure. All the safety is the last part I want to touch on. We don't mess around with any of the safety parts. So the FANUC CRX, of course, is still safe to use in terms of the collaborative robot standard. So if I would be to walk into the robot while it's operating, it will still stop and use its safety precautions or the protective stops that is built into the robot. If it goes into a protective stop, you can reset it in deploy and continue operation from deploy. You will not need to use the teach pendant at all.
Gotcha.
I think that was the palletizer in short. I don't know if you have any questions, Jerry.
Yeah, I've got some questions. So let's say, from the initial setup, if somebody did want to add area scanners, right? I see a lot of cobot palletizers with an area scanner or fences. I think, that's probably the easiest thing to provide versus an area scanner sometimes. Just put a fence up if you can.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't want to because it's a cobot and I want my stuff to be cage free. But if I have an area scanner, I would connect that, and there's probably there's instruction for how to set that up and connect it to the OR base module.
Yeah, you would actually set it up to the robot controller, but okay. It's a little bit more nitty gritty. But the point I want to raise is there's nothing that is impossible to integrate with in terms of safety equipment with deploy and the robot. And we have applications engineers in-house to guide people how to do it, and make sure that they have the deployment that they want to. But you can add any safety equipment on or around the deploy application, and it will work as intended. But instead of putting the safety equipment on the OR base, we put it on the robot instead.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Now I have since this is a virtual demo and I'm the pretend customer, right? So if I'm the pretend customer, what happens if, right? What if the Wi-Fi drops? Like your interface is via an internet connection, right? So what happens if the Wi-Fi drops? What do you do then?
It's a good question, and we have a lot of customers, especially the larger customers, that are concerned about their hardware being online all the time. The answer is pretty simple. The only time we use the internet connection actively is when we press the validation button. If I would pull the plug on it right now, everything is stored locally on the OR base, and it will run exactly as expected. But if you need to make changes or introduce new SKUs or something like that, you will have to be online. We also have a monitoring part. This is a web-based monitoring interface that allows you to monitor the performance of your application. If you want to reap the benefits of that monitoring platform, you will also have to have the application online all the time. But it is not required to run your robot to have an internet connection.
Gotcha. That's actually when I saw that the status say like waiting for the next box, I actually was curious, like from an operations standpoint, and if I'm an operations supervisor, I'm a manager, can somebody get a notification like, hey, my cell's not running, and then here's the status why?
Yeah, all these KPIs are displayed in our monitoring software or interface. You can read any KPI that is relevant to the plant manager, and he can set up his own dashboard to read efficiency, cycle times. Is it stopped? Is it running? Is it waiting for something? Is it waiting for a new pallet? And this is just the basic demonstration of Deploy's capabilities. We can do a lot more. We can send signals to a light or a horn, a sound when the pallet is half done, when it's 75% done. It can, or when it's done, to signal the forklift driver to come and pick up the pallet. We can interface with push buttons. Like we can do a lot more than what I show today, but to keep it fairly simple and short, you got the basics of it today, basically.
Great, awesome. I think my last question right now is, Christian, you're an expert, right? So it's easy, your HMI, your setup and everything, right? But let's say I'm new. What do you recommend somebody to go through and review online manuals, walkthroughs, videos? What learning assets do you have for somebody that they should review prior to receiving their Deploy product?
It's a very, very good question as well. We have something called the OnRobot Learn portal. If you go on our website called Support and Events, and you go to Learn, we have these great video guides and explanations on how to use Deploy, how to get started, how to run. With videos of the actual application here, you can see our setup with the CRX with a CNC machine. Everything is basically explained to you in these videos. We of course have documentation, the manuals, etc. as well. You can find that under the download page, but start with this Learn portal. It will give you so much great knowledge for free.
Great. And as somebody, let's say I'm an end user, I'm self-deploying, and let's say it's, hey, this looks really easy, and maybe I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm diving feet first, right, into the pool called Easy Cobot Deployment. Now I've got it, I've watched the videos, I've received my deploy, I've got it set up, I have an issue. What do I do? Who do I call?
Yeah, it's a good question. We of course always recommend to have some sort of integration partner linked to your project. We do have application engineers in-house that can assist, but it is easy to use, it is easy to deploy, but there can always come up issues, and having a local integration partner is very relevant to your project and to be successful, especially if it's your first project. We have over 200 authorized integrators across the states, so I'm sure we can find one, locally to the manufacturer, and it will always be my suggestion to have an expert linked to your project.
Gotcha. Now, is there a Find My Integrator tool, or is it best to just call my local OnRobot person to talk to my application, then maybe they make a recommendation on who I should use and buy
Yes.
through?
Get in contact with OnRobot people. You can find all the contact details also on our website here under contact. Give us a call and we can guide you through that whole journey. Our
Perfect.
expertise is small, medium-sized companies that are new to automation. This is our main market. So don't be shy to reach out. We've had hundreds, maybe even thousands of cases, just like you know, the new manufacturer that thinks that robots are too complicated to get into. We have so much great knowledge and expertise in this area. So give us a call. It's free to do, and we can guide you through that journey.
Great, awesome. Well, that was it for me. Christian, anything else for you for final thoughts?
No, just thank you for giving us the opportunity to show it here. We look forward servicing the new customers here. If you think it's interesting, give us a call, and we'll be able to guide you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Christian, for your time in this great virtual demo. I'm Jerry Perez again, and for those of you watching virtual demos from FANUC and FANUC Cobots, we'll see you next time.